Hi, my name's Kat O'Connor, and today I'm going to be talking about the history of birth control as well as the U.S. birth control movement. First, I'm going to start outside of the U.S., as a brief history of birth control is necessary to understand the movement that took place within America. Birth control is not a new concept at all. It actually dates all the way back to 1500 BC, as the first records of birth control were recovered in the form of deciphered scrolls containing directions for women to take honey, acacia leaves, and also lint as a form of cervical cap to prevent sperm from entering the womb. In ancient Greece, women used an oral contraceptive called silphium, but similarly to many resources throughout history, this herb is now extinct due to overconsumption and little to no care for replanting. These are some of the plants used throughout history, and the photo on the top right is actually the first birth control prescription known to man, written in the form of hieroglyphics. Just one more example of birth control being both ancient and global. According to ancient Greek myth, Persephone, the goddess of spring, refused to eat anything but pomegranate seeds after being stolen from her mother Demeter by the god of death, whom she did not want to be impregnated by. Greek women, according to legend, celebrated the return of Persephone through a festival, which included rituals involving pomegranate, which has been since proven to contain contraceptive properties. It's said that this festival went on for centuries for women to share their birth control methods with one another. Moving on now to American women's activist and face of the birth control movement, Margaret Sanger. She was born on September 14, 1879 in Corning, New York, into poverty, but she strove for her education and attended MIT for college. Her mother died young, something Sanger understood was due to the fact that she had had 11 children, and her death was confirmed to be because of that physical toll. Backed by passion and education, Sanger believed that the only way to change the federal law against birth control was to break it. Sanger believed that legalizing birth control would liberate women, and specifically women of color. She was noted stating that birth control was the white man's way of reducing the black population, and was incredibly unwavering and outspoken against the federal government. Just how did she support the movement? Sanger proved she was willing to do anything to accomplish her goals. In 1917, Sanger went to jail for distributing an early version of the diagram for a makeshift women's clinic. She knew full well that breaking a law would make a statement, and was aggressive in her activist tactics. She additionally made an effort to get all women involved. In 1927, she sponsored the first World Population Conference in Geneva, which gave rise to the International Union for the Scientific Investigation of Population Problems. She also created a newspaper that published weekly issues concerning the law, ways to get involved, and op-eds about women's rights. This was major in terms of morale for the birth control movement, and further solidified her as the face of the movement. Now let's talk about the changes that were made. In 1936, a court ruling that birth control devices and information would no longer be classified as obscene and could be legally distributed in New York, Connecticut, and Vermont. Over time, this spread across several more states, and to this day, contraceptives are free and available to anyone with a period due to the Affordable Care Act in those states. The birth control movement resulted in the founding of Margaret Sanger's Planned Parenthood, a nonprofit organization that helps hundreds and thousands of people today. On the screen is a photo of the first Planned Parenthood advertisement that states, "You can decide how many children you want. Planned Parenthood can help." Why is this so important? According to Planned Parenthood, 1/3 of the women's wage increase, as well as the steep increase in women's college graduation rates, is due to the access to birth control. This alone is a pivotal reason why birth control rights need to be protected, but they are still under attack. Some more conservative states began with banning abortions, largely in part to biblical reasons, and now they are going after women's basic health care in the form of contraceptives. Despite everything that Sanger, alongside every other woman that fought by her side decades ago, women's rights are still being threatened once again, which is something everyone, not just women, should be educated on. Thank you for listening.